Welcome to this episode of the story. Have you subscribed yet?
Chapter 2. Ink tears break the ban. Spiritual light illuminates the night. Shen Yan collapsed onto the cold blue stone slab, cold sweat trickling down his spine, soaking the back of his worn linen scribe's robe. The lingering musty smell in the archive room mingled with the dampness, creating an unpleasant stickiness. He clutched the broken bone brush tightly in his palm. The faint cyan glow emanating from the two seal characters' revise on the brush shaft was like will-o'-the-wisp in the dark, warm yet eerie. At his feet, the paperweight beast, resembling a small stone tortoise, gently rubbed against his trousers with its cool carapace. The cyan light from the character's suppressed void on its back resonated with the glow from the bone brush, as if conveying some silent comfort. The candle flame on the desk flickered faintly, casting flickering shadows that distorted the contours of the archive room. The scattered old scrolls on the ground seemed to come alive in the light. The dense characters squirmed and twisted, vaguely resembling provisions from the Swanshi domain code. Yet each character was tinged with a dull gray, as if eroded by some invisible force. In the air, the musty scent of old paper, the burnt smell of aged documents, and the faint metallic tang of blood from the bone brush mingled. But the most prominent aroma was the ink fragrance wafting from the blue-black ink stick on the desk. It was no longer the bitter scent of ordinary ink, but carried a warm spiritual energy, as if a millennium-old life was stirring awake. Shen Yan slowly raised his hand, holding the bone brush up to the candlelight for a closer look. The brush shaft, carved from a human finger bone, was hard yet slightly flexible. The intricate patterns etched on its surface became clearly visible under the cyan glow. These were not random markings, but ancient runes winding along the curve of the shaft. Though the brush tip was worn, it exuded a subtle sharpness, the very spot that had cut his fingertip earlier, still stained with a faint crimson trace of blood. He could distinctly feel a weak, warm current flowing gently within the bone brush, as if resonating with his own blood. Each throb perfectly matched the rhythm of his heartbeat. Revise ... double quotes. Shen Yan whispered the seal characters on the brush shaft, a strange excitement surging in his chest. In his 3 years copying the code at the Compilation Bureau, he had seen countless runes, incantations, and descriptions of magical artifacts. Yet he had never heard of a bone brush so infused with spiritual essence, let alone one that could make an ink stick weep. The ink stick on the desk continued to seep jet-black ink tears, which slid down its edges and formed the 5 characters, "Ink sticks shall not awaken to spirit" on the rice paper. At this moment, those characters seemed to come alive, their strokes writhing slightly on the paper, as if resisting some predetermined fate. Shen Yan's gaze fixed on those 5 characters, and a bold thought suddenly flashed through his mind. The Swanshi domain code artifact volume clearly stipulated that ink sticks shall not awaken to spirit. Violators would be charged with disturbing the laws, and the prison administration would publicly burn the awakened ink stick, punishing its user severely. The ink disaster of the 3rd year of Yongle, 3 years prior, had occurred precisely because some cultivators had secretly awakened ink sticks to spirit, attempting to use their power to peek into higher laws. The prison administration had responded with overwhelming force. Thousands of jinn of awakened ink sticks were burned to ashes, and more than a dozen cultivators vanished without a trace. Yet now, this ink stick that had accompanied him for 3 years was clearly showing signs of spiritual awakening under the bone brush's influence. Those seeping ink tears were not ordinary ink at all, but the tears of the ink stick as it struggled against its fate. And the bone brush, inscribed with revise, could its purpose be to modify these rigid laws codified by the Compilation Bureau? Those without spiritual roots shall not touch the essence of the laws... Double quotes. Shen Yan recalled the scribe's sneer during his spiritual root test 3 years ago, the contempt and exclusion he had endured from the cultivator scribes in the copying department. A long-suppressed sense of injustice welled up within him. Though he was a mortal without spiritual roots, unable to channel spiritual energy or cultivate profound techniques, he had copied thousands of volumes of the code over 3 years. He knew every rule by heart, and could even easily detect subtle tampered traces in the rubbings, an ability that cultivators relying on spiritual roots lacked. Perhaps the bone brush chose me precisely because I have no spiritual roots, untainted by the altered destiny of the domain. Shen Yan's eyes gradually hardened. He thought of the paperweight beast knocking over the candlestick to save him earlier, the bone brush awakening after touching his blood. Since fate has given me such a chance, why not try? Taking a deep breath, he carefully picked up the wolf hair brush from the desk and dipped it into the ink tears oozing from the ink stick. Instead of flowing down the brush hairs like ordinary ink, the ink tears condensed into a round ink bead, emitting a faint black glow. Holding the wolf hair brush, Shen Yan stared at the 5 characters ink sticks, "Shall not awaken to spirit" on the rice paper. His fingers trembling slightly, yet he hesitated to make a move. He was torn. Modifying the code's rules was the greatest taboo for a copying department scribe. If discovered by the law enforcement guards, the consequences would be unimaginable. He had long heard tales of the prison administration's cruelty. Those who dared to question the rules or challenge authority always met with disgrace and an unknown fate. But if he didn't try, the secrets of the bone brush, the ink stick's spiritual awakening, and the paperweight beast's anomalies might never be uncovered. He would remain trapped in this abandoned archive room forever, a nameless copyist forgotten by time. Ink has spirit, characters have souls. Wrong characters kill without spilling blood. For some reason, these words echoed in Shen Yan's mind, as if a mysterious guiding voice. Gritting his teeth, he no longer hesitated. Gripping the wolf hair brush, he slowly crossed out the 5 characters on the paper. The moment the brush tip touched the rice paper, Shen Yan suddenly felt the bone brush in his palm tremble violently. A warm force surged up his arm and merged completely with his blood. The wolf hair brush in his hand seemed to be controlled by an invisible power, moving with extraordinary fluidity. The crossed-out characters gradually dissolved under the ink tears, like ice melting in spring, vanishing from the paper bit by bit. It worked? Shen Yan felt a surge of joy, but the next second, he sensed a strong resistance emanating from the paper, as if countless invisible threads were pulling at his brush tip, trying to stop him from modifying the rules. The candle flame on the desk suddenly flared wildly, turning from yellow to cyan. The blue stone slabs of the archive room began to tremble slightly, and the old scrolls on the walls fell one after another. The paper pages fluttered in the air with a rustling sound, as if voicing silent protest. Is this the backlash of the laws? Shen Yan gritted his teeth, veins bulging on his wrist. He could feel his strength rapidly fading, but the bone brush in his palm grew hotter and hotter, as if providing him with an endless stream of support. Concentrating his mind, he ignored the commotion around him and focused solely on dipping the wolf hair brush into the ink tears, writing new characters on the paper. Ink sticks may awaken to spirit. Spirit is born from righteousness and perishes from greed. These 10 simple characters were extremely difficult for Shen Yan to write. Each stroke felt like a struggle against the entire Xuanxi domain's laws. When he finished writing the last character, greed, the bone brush in his palm suddenly erupted with a dazzling cyan light, illuminating the entire archive room as bright as day. The blue-black ink stick on the desk let out a crisp crack, and a clear crack spread down from the top of the ink stick. A faint golden spiritual light emanated from the crack, like the rising sun, warm and bright. The ink stick trembled more and more violently. The scattered paper pages on the ground were lifted by an invisible current, swirling around the ink stick. The ink fragrance in the air grew stronger and stronger. No longer just a scent, it carried a soul-purifying power.
The story continues, and the subsequent episodes will be even more exciting. Subscribe as soon as possible. All novel videos posted on this site are from the website discoverstories.xyz. This website will be updated continuously.